Let me throw a few of these at you guys. Rebel says, see what you want. Gerrard was the last manager Rangers employed to actually had them looking decent. John says, as a Celtic fan, people are questioning roll over Monday's game, but Rangers totally dominated the first half against the best team in Scotland. So all the people calling for his head are delusional. Marzuno, I think rather hopefully, says that unrest among Ibrox fans is brewing, usually impossible to turn around. Jimmy, brilliantly, thanks for this, Jimmy says, you'd be better off with sausage roll. Thanks, Jimmy. I'll be telling that at dinner tonight. That's a good one. Colin says, if there's a God, then let this happen. The return to Germany. He's done it, Rangers. And Matt echoes your sentiments, Keith. He says, if Rowe goes to Germany, it's a get out of jail card free for Kavanagh. The club needs a figurehead. And just very finally on that, the figurehead comment in McKenna says Rangers need a manager.
Oh, wow.
Is
McKenna.
That
Listen, do you know what? This McKenna is playing a blinder. Is this... I don't know if he's got some part of Jamestown or he's something to do, but a lot of his comments, just as Hearts have been doing this, making this historic run for glory, McKenna's been spot on. That's one of the things. And another thing, and I know I'm going to go back to an old thorny issue here, but when Kevin Thelwell came in, he completely underestimated what Scottish football was all about, what Rangers Football Club was all about. He had an arrogance to him. He wanted to be the big dog. And part of that was doing away with the hundreds of years of tradition. Rangers have a manager. They don't have what was it? A men's team head coach of the men's team or so. What a way to devalue one of the biggest jobs in British football, being manager of Rangers. And that's something, if the Americans are looking at Andrew Kavanagh, Rangers should have a manager. And Derek McInnes, I know that Derek McInnes is taking the title of head coach at Hearts, but he's the manager. And that's exactly what I think McKenna's meaning there. Title, no title. You need somebody that runs the club, that a figurehead, a guy that leads, not just some wee guy that's hired as a head coach. And that was another one of many of the mistakes that Kevin Thelwell made.
But on that,
done from sheer arrogance.
The thing about McInnes, he might have the same job title as Rowe, but he's got that aura. He's got that. But I mean,
that's because he fronts the whole operation up. Yeah. And see, when you've got a manager who does that, a guy who does that, people are happy to fall in behind. No matter what your structure is or what your job title, if you've got a man that as an owner can have complete faith in terms of, to make the right decisions, whether it's how you want the sort of youth development run behind the scenes, how you want recruitment, how you identify targets. That's what a club really needs, I think, in Scottish football. Maybe it's not everywhere, but I still think, and maybe I'm just a dinosaur, but I do believe in that. I do believe that. Look at Martin O'Neill. Martin O'Neill's not a head coach; he's a manager.
Aye.
Derek McInnes, head coach might be his title. He's a manager.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Rangers are absolutely crying out for a manager.
Does Danny Rowe lack that aura? Or am I being really
I think so, yeah.
You think so?
I don't want to turn this into a personal attack. But
yeah. Of course.
And I think because that's not Danny Rowe's fault.
Mm-hmm.
That was Kevin Thelwell that decided, I'm going to be the big man here. People will answer to me. He didn't want to be answerable to anybody. And that's why that new position was created when... Rangers have always had a manager, and I firmly believe that's the way it should be at both Rangers and Celtic.
Jack, I totally agree with you. I mean, I was asked about this today, but whether they should change Danny Rowe, or then somebody was saying, but they need a manager. I've said that for years now. Rangers and Celtic need a manager, not a coach. They need a figurehead. They need a guy with aura and presence about him.
Mm-hmm.
The job at Celtic Rangers, I think, it's only my opinion, demands that. But the fact is, Rangers as a club have decided to go down different routes. No, you think about Steven Gerrard was probably the last figurehead manager that they had. And even when Gerrard came in, you didn't know that for certain. As much as you knew about his personality and character as a player, he hadn't managed a team before, but he grew into that figurehead role. But since then, when you think of guys like Van Bronckhorst, Beale, Russell Martin, Danny Rowe, these aren't guys with that aura and presence. They're coaches. No, they're coaches on the training pitch, and if that's the route you decide to go down, like in terms of Danny Rowe's future, if there's no point, if Rangers as a club decide, no, we now want a McInnes type, no, we want a Gerrard type, you'd be as well just getting rid of Danny Rowe now, rather than wait to, maybe October, November or whatever, and you need to make another change. But if you've no changed your opinion on that, and that he's the type of coach that you want, then there's no point in replacing him now, because
personally, Scott,
for the next guy.
Personally, Scott, what I believe is that Andrew Kavanagh will be, when he went into the club, he was concentrating purely, focusing on getting the takeover done, getting the business side of that deal, and it was very complex shares deal, and he delegated, and I think he's had cause now to look back and think these are mistakes that were made. I trusted the wrong people. I gave big decisions to people that I thought knew what they're doing. And in retrospect, looking back, reviewing, and as all good businessmen should, a year in, you review, what did we do well, what did we do badly, what mistakes have been made. I think he's conducting his own review here. And I think he's unpicking just about every decision that Kevin Thelwell made. So is that the sort of one of these decisions being, the creation of the head role, the head coach role? It might be. I don't know. I'm speculating to a degree, but I do think that there is a review going on of everything that has happened to get Rangers to this point, and whether or not the right decisions have been made along the way.
In the comments, Speed says Rowe going to be a great manager. He inherited a mess with the squad, got us back in at the title run. He does need to learn how to influence a game from the sidelines, but it's in his locker. Yellow him up. It says at least Rowe picks the players he wants. McInnes gets what Bloom gives him. John says Andrew Kavanagh.
That's not true either. That's not true.
I was going to say.
I mean, actually, when you look at the Hearts side over the last few weeks, there's not very many Jamestown players that are actually in that starting 11. Braga is obviously the crown jewel in terms of Jamestown. How you pick that one up is extraordinary, and it's entirely down to James. But actually, guys like Stuart Finlay, do you think Derek McInnes needed Jamestown to fight?
Shankland, Milne.
To talk Shankland into staying in the first place, that wasn't done by an algorithm. Mm-hmm. That was done by a manager. Yeah. These are the influences. These are the big decisions. This is when a manager wields influence. If it wasn't for Derek McInnes, put it this way, Lawrence Shankland wouldn't be at Hearts, and Hearts probably wouldn't be on the verge of something truly historic.
In terms of Rangers, Daniel, I mean, Shankland is the perfect example of that. I mean, I know I've been getting on about this for so long, but Rangers, whoever's made that decision at Rangers not to sign Lawrence Shankland on a free transfer last summer,
Kevin Thelwell, Scott, is the answer.
Serious questions need to be asked. And know that, not only not to sign Shankland on a free, knowing about the player and about the environment and everything about the situation, not only not to sign him, but to then go and spend £14 million on 3 strikers, Sharmiti, Majovski and Nadiri, none of whom are as good as Lawrence Shankland at this moment in their careers. I mean, you're talking about decision-making, Jacko, and owners looking back at things and what they could have done differently. I mean, if that isn't top of the list, recognising that Scotland's best striker and top scorer in the league